All right, man. We back on the show. Back at this. Ready to talk about the one and only Mastermind. Um,
Hellraiser.
the Hellraiser, the mighty Mastermind.
That's right.
So I was bumping a lot of his shit during the week, you know?
Yeah.
And what I noticed is there's a lot of stuff that's hard to, like, if you were gonna do a tier list, you know how they do that?
hmm
Like, I find that the three easy ones to put up is, like, for me it would be like Liquid Drano, Toxic
Yep.
Avenger,
hmm
and then Mind's Eye. And then
hmm
after that, he's got all these other CDs, and it's hard to, like, decide which one's better out of all of them and stuff. It's like, wow, you got to really take a listen to them. He's got a lot
Yeah.
out there.
Well, his post RLP discography is pretty big, and
Mm-hmm.
he's collabed with a lot of different producers. He's had a lot of duo or group projects that he's
Yep.
done. So yeah, man, the dude is super busy. And if you've been out of the loop for a while, it's going to take a while to get caught up.
Before we dive into all that, I'll just introduce us. I am the host, Diz, right here, back at it with my homeboy, Dre 40 ounce.
What
Dre,
up?
man, on this topic, on Mastermind, the legend himself, you've got to do some work with him and all that. And I want to get into all that, what that's like,
Yeah.
what it was like, and how you guys, like, work together. But, first, I just want to, like, go all the way back in time here. Uh, and I'm going to look at his biography here just on the wiki. We'll get this out of the way that he went to Osborne High School with Isham, and he gave him a demo tape with, like, 3 songs. Um, this is funny because he gave him a demo tape with 3 songs, and Isham liked it. And so I wondered, like, does Mastermind have that tape still? The 3 songs, I wonder?
No, he does not. We talked about that one day, and he does not have that. I have something that's rumored to be the demo tape on an old computer of mine, dude, and I don't know how to get it off that hard drive. The graphics card is dead. It's just
Of
sitting on a
course,
dead
right?
computer
Mhm.
somewhere. I got to figure out how to pull that data off of there and just see because I've even mentioned it to him too. I was like, I want to send it to him and be like,
Yeah.
hey, is this yours? Um, so one day, man, I got to figure out how to transfer that data to my computer and send that his way. It would be pretty cool to, if it did actually turn out to be his, I would just put it out there again.
So he gives this tape to Isham, he's a kid. And Isham has his homie TNT. And I assume TNT also went to the high school. I don't know. I don't know how
Yeah, I
old
would
TNT
assume.
was compared to these guys, but I always felt like TNT was, like, younger or something.
Mhm.
But maybe that's just the vibe he gave because he was, like, a smaller figure or something.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, he was
but
not. Well, go ahead.
I was going to just say that, Isham gets him on board and decides, yeah, I'm going to make this new group called Natas. It's backwards for Satan, or it's Satan
hmm
backwards. Like, what does Mastermind even think at that point? Like, yeah, okay, sounds dope to me, you know?
Right. Um, very, and I wonder about the demo tape too. Like, was it geared towards that genre? Did he already know what Isham was doing and give him a tape with that type of rap on there, you know? But
I think
yeah, I
Isham,
mean,
all he had was booming words from hell. And little did we know that wasn't even the worst to come from Isham as it came to,
right.
like, horrorcore, wicked shit, you know? So I wonder what Mastermind had on that demo tape. Was it more gangsta or was it wicked shit? What was that? So, but they formed the group, and I don't know, like, what Mastermind would have been like without Natas and Isham, as a rapper, tell you the
Mm,
truth. But they come out with the, like, Life After Death and then Blasphemy. Um, the first time that we heard Mastermind, I think that the first time that I heard Mastermind was probably, I want to say, I want to say Natas Blasphemy. Do you
Mhm.
think we got Blasphemy before Closed Casket?
Yeah. Blasphemy was the first tape that we got that had anything to do with Natas or Isham. And I remember being drawn to it by the cover. You know, it had that skeleton doing
Mm-hmm.
this type of deal. And I don't know what drew me to it or drew us to it. I don't even know who saw it first, to be honest. Um, but yeah, we ended up picking it up, and then that was our introduction to Natas.
That's right. So that was the first time that we heard Mastermind. I don't think that we got any other RLP stuff until Closed Casket, but I don't know. I don't think that was like by big choice or anything. We were just like, I had no idea that Natas and Isham and Mastermind were all like, whatever. All I knew was Natas, this tape.
Right.
And like, we didn't like have the internet, and the record store was like a trip for us. You had to like go out of your way to go and find anything. So somehow, accidentally, or who knows how, but I think we got Closed Casket next. And I think it was only because I recognized that name Isham from the Natas tape. In the Natas tape, we kind of liked it, somewhat and somewhat not, like I think it started off pretty strong for us. And I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't think we called it like a classic or anything. It was just
It
like,
took a
okay,
while for it to grow on us,
yeah.
I think, and part of it was like, damn, I mean, should we even be listening to this? Like, this is pretty hardcore shit.
Hmm.
And we were teenagers at the time, barely old enough to drive. So, at least I think from my memory, I was like, man, I don't know if I should be listening to this. And,
Yeah, yeah.
it wasn't like mastered to the same level as other professional releases. So there was a little bit of a audio. I mean, you had to get used to the way that the tape sounded because it didn't sound quite like everything else either. Um,
Nope.
but yeah, I feel like it took a while for that one to grow on me. There's a few songs that were great right off the bat, but yeah,
You know,
that's it. Kind of.
I I kind of feel like it was one of our first underground records that we
Hmm.
got. Like everything that we had listened to was always like it was pretty polished by like Dr. Dre or Mr. Mix, all the
Right.
big cats,
Hmm.
with studios and
They
thousands of
had
dollars.
big
And then
labels behind them.
that's right. And then Natas is like only because we thought the cover was cool, we checked it out.
Right.
And who knows where they were recording these? Was it in Isham's basement or was it an actual studio? It just
Right.
sounded underground, you know?
And they were
So
the
it
first
took,
to kind of do that. Like, I mean, they were
mhm.
independent before independent was a thing.
Yeah, yeah. James Smith, he was the guy down there with the RLP just slanging these tapes for the most part, getting them in the stores. And he became infamous or famous for doing that and kind of paving the way for that hustle down there. The way that he did it, anyways. Forcing these guys to put them on the shelves because they were hot. Everybody wanted them. So we hear Mastermind on Chatty Ass. I think I think he was only on Chatty Ass. Maybe he was on something else too. I can't really recall.
Was that on? Are you talking about
On
Closed Casket?
Yeah, on Closed Casket.
Um,
And what I'm trying to get to is eventually we get Liquid Drano. You
mhm.
know, the first Mastermind record. And I remember getting that. It was at the mall in Longmont at Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And it was the CD that I got. So it was probably like in 1994 or 5, probably
Yeah.
95.
Yeah.
Um, and it was that purple cover, that was weird.
Hmm. Looked like a bass, like kind of coming through some sort of liquid. It was hard to tell,
Yeah.
but yeah, it
Hmm.
was a very distorted cover, and it took me forever to try to figure out what that was. But yeah, cool cover.
It was cool. It was different, man. Isham's stuff was different. And that one, I feel like that is what finally got me hooked. Like I knew I needed all the RLP artists, after hearing Mastamind by himself, I was like, man, this is dope. Like this is crazy dope. It's like it was different. I'd never heard anything like it. And it was short, but it left me like thinking, I want more of this, man. I need all of it. I was like, I'm ready for more. And that's where we first heard Dice too on that EP,
Right.
you know. So that RLP family was growing right there. But I thought that,
To their credit, they changed the production style, so I don't know exactly what upgrades they had or what they were using, but the production style changed dramatically from what they were doing before.
yeah, it did. It was upgraded or something. Like there was a lot of attention put on that Liquid Drano album.
Mhm.
I felt like Isham was on his record, he felt like he needed to move units, so he put a lot of different things to maybe try to move the needle to different like listeners, I guess. Because he always had something that you're like, oh man, why couldn't that be on the radio? On Liquid Drano, there was no radio like songs. It was all just dark, like this gothic dark record. And with only one song that had Dice and Isham, no TNT on there, strangely. But that record was so cool. I remember the back of it had like this weird little photo of Mastermind, and I think he was wearing a Natas hat, and you could barely see his face. Kind of left the mystery there.
Well, was black and white?
I think it was like a
Yeah,
black and white picture.
yeah. Having a hard time remembering it, but yeah, I can vaguely visualize that. And the other part about that EP, it was like you said earlier, it was short. Like the songs, some of them were one verse, some were two. You had, some with three, but everything just
Hmm.
flowed so well from beginning to end. It was something you could listen to straight through. All the transitions were awesome for that album.
Yeah, the last song was cool. Murder Ride was a
Yeah,
hell of a way to go out for a
yeah,
record.
that was I mean, basically finishing off with a bang.
The new Liquid Drano has the songs out of order
Yeah,
and adds like new songs, and it just doesn't hit the same.
no,
Like I was kind of pissed listening to it. I was like,
and to
this
be
song doesn't belong
fair,
here.
yeah, and to be fair, I was happy to work on the project with Mastermind, but that was a classic that kind of probably should have got left alone. And then you do like a volume two or name it something else.
Hmm.
I remember Golden Glare, Cutthroat, and those guys ended up buying the rights to that album, and then they wanted to expand on it and do like a Liquid Drano album, turn the EP into an.
Yeah. Well, they did, and it's a dope record. But if you have the first one, you couldn't help but to be like, this is in the wrong place or whatever,
Yeah, yep.
So, um, what happened after Liquid Drano? We got a couple more Natas records, and I felt like Mastermind was definitely, uh, I don't know if he was just the sidekick or whatever, but his game had stepped up majorly. On like Multi-Killionaire, damn, he was killing it there. And after that, man, he was just killing it all the time.
Yeah. He was
On
one
all
of
the
the
shit.
harder workers in that group. I mean, there's masterminds all over Natas, you know, just
Yeah,
as much as E. Um, so he was a huge piece in that group. And, when you hear Natas, at least when I hear Natas, feel like, Mastermind is just an equal part to that as the others. I don't really
Yeah,
see
for
him as a
sure.
sidekick for the group as far as like the work goes and whatnot. Um, and he
Hmm.
was just always putting in work on those Natas albums.
I know when I first heard Natas, like Life After Death and Blasphemy, and I knew that Isham was like the bigger name. I felt like Mastermind was the sidekick, but then as time went on, I felt like Mastermind was like the centerpiece of Natas. That's kind of how it felt because he was doing most of the work and he kind of kept it like Natas just seemed like a Mastermind record featuring Isham and TNT, you know?
Mastermind would kind of center, like most of his style centered off of just like hardcore lyrics. And
Hmm.
Isham, more of an artist, more melodic or more melody to what he's doing. And of course, then you have TNT who just kind of complements the two.
Yeah. Rest in peace, TNT.
That's right, man. R.I.P.
RIP. So it got let's see, we got to like .com and all that stuff. You got to do some work with Mastermind. Which album was the first one that you guys worked on and how did that even get started?
Uh, so the first album I got any work on was with Cutthroat and Golden Glare on the Hellraiser album. But before Mastermind even got in touch with them, I had been going back and forth with Shahid at Darker Sound, and I was sending them beats and getting feedback, and we were supposed to do a project, and then, you know, something happened. I don't recall what, um, but the album never ended up happening, and then Mastermind ends up finding a new group, a new label, a new group of guys to do music with. And I just had a direct contact with Mastermind. Shahid gave me his number. He's like, here, man, you get in touch with them and you start working with them. And ever since then, it just kind of took off from there. And we've always stayed in touch, always sending him music. Um, so that's kind of how it all started there.
Let's fast forward a little bit here. Or actually we're still going back now. Mind's Eye, that record that he had. He didn't have any Isham on there except for like a skit
The Exorcism,
that
yeah.
yeah, the exorcism. Santos and Isham were fire back then when they were collaborating, though.
Yeah,
I
man.
miss
You
those
got
days.
www.com out of them.
Yeah,
Um, Mind's Eye, and then you had,
tongues,
Tongues, the Cool Keith features. Um,
some some Dayton Family tracks.
yeah, Dayton Family, dude, that was an awesome era.
Uh huh. It was a lot of fun, man. That Ghetto E, man, rest in peace. I love that
Oh,
record.
man.
There's some good
R.I.P.,
stuff on
man.
there.
Yeah, Ghetto
I
E,
took it for
man,
a spin a few months ago. I
underrated
was like, this is
artist.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good album, too. What was the name of that one again?
Ghetto Theater.
Ghetto Theater, yeah.
He was doing the Scarface skits.
Yep. The Scarface voice, that was awesome.
Yeah, the resume of a killer.
Yeah. I was trying to think of the name of the track. I couldn't, but yeah, that was a
Yeah,
dope track,
Isham,
man.
they killed it on that track.
Hmm.
All of them, man.
That
Put
was
it
a
in the Hall of
fun
Fame.
track.
Yeah, it was so cool, man. Around that time, I think that's when we first met Mastermind in person, I bet. Was it
Yeah, at
at the
the
Fox Theater?
yep. We were just kids back then too. Uh, Mastermind, Esham, TNT. We got to meet all three of them, man. That was so cool. And I remember Cool
Yep.
Keith was there. Um, yeah, a lot of fun, dude. That was an awesome night.
It was a badass show. You know, it was packed and everybody was chanting, Isham, Isham, you
Hmm.
know?
Heck
And
yeah,
even though
dude.
he wasn't really the headliner, Cool Keith was the headliner.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it could
I
have went either way. It didn't really
I was
matter.
gonna say I feel like there might have been just as many people there to see Esham as Cool Keith.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty badass. That was the first time we met those guys. Um, I don't think I didn't really have any type of speaking relationship with these guys at all. I did a little bit of graphic work for Mastamind,
Yeah.
and you were always our middleman.
Yeah.
And Isham used to have the Purgatory message board, acidrap.com,
Hmm.
where he would check it out every now and then. Poor guy. So he thought I was fucking crazy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
That
any,
was a fun time when the forums were like the thing to do, right? Because you would get the
yeah.
artist poking in once in a while. That was a lot of fun. That was good interaction, man. When that was like kind of like the first taste of being able to interact with the artist without actually meeting them, you know?
hmm Yeah, before Facebook,
Hmm.
um, and Instagram and all that. And for me, the big forums were, and I'm sure there were plenty of forums, but it was acidrap.com and dpgrecords.com. You
Yep.
know,
Yeah,
I used
man.
to go to both of those, like just troll them, both of
Yeah,
them.
man. That was the thing to do. Just troll them.
It was good shit. It was good shit back then. So, this is like what, 1999 to the year 2000,
Yeah.
2001, around this era. And we meet Mastamind and Isham and TNT. I meet them once. I think I saw them. That we actually saw them again one time in Thornton. I think they did a show or something. I is. Do you remember that?
Not
It
ringing
was
a
like a
bell.
it was like a small show in Thornton that Isham did, and we went there, and Mastermind was there too. And I remember you were talking to him briefly after the show, and then we like took off. It
Mm.
wasn't like a big show.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Small little spot, Mastermind, Isham was there. We were
hmm
out there just kind of scoping things out. They waved us over. We talked to them for a little bit. We were talking about going to the strip club. They were supposed to go to the Platinum with us. But yeah, man, I remember
yeah.
that.
Yeah, that was cool, man. Uh, that was dope, man. Those guys. That's probably like I don't think I've had any other interaction with any famous rappers, really. Not like that.
Yeah, I can't
Um,
say I have either, man.
so that was pretty cool, man. So you've got this like working relationship with Mastermind, and you guys have worked on like several tracks over the
Hmm.
years. You want to talk about that a little bit more?
You know, super easy to work with, man. He works fast. And he's just really easy to work with, man. I send him over music. He'll give me some feedback. Like I've sent him over hundreds of tracks. And just a few great ones get selected. But a lot of fun, man. He'll send them back over to me. I'll get the vocals. I put them together. We'll bounce some ideas off of each other. Once in a while, I'll even just change it up completely and be like, dude, this track sounds way better with this beat. What do you think? You get the yay or the nay. And, sometimes, I might fuck up a little bit, and he'll let me know, hey man, my vocal's a little bit off, change it here, change it there, whatever. But very easy to work with, man.
hmm
Super cool dude. In fact, I talked to him earlier this week about concept for a potential album or track or something. Um, and I hadn't talked to him since like before this week. I hadn't talked to him since the beginning of the year, and we always reach out to each other, say what up, hope everything's going well and whatnot. He'll let me know if he's busy and what he's working on. And, I haven't been able
hmm
to send him too much since my son was born, but um, always telling him, like, man, I want to get back in there and start working on stuff again. And he's like, hell yeah, dude, just send over the beats.
Get back in the
So,
lab, man.
yeah, man. So I'm trying to get back into the lab. I did send him a beat last night. Um, talking about this podcast coming up and all of that just kind of got me thinking, and I started messing around with some shit, and we'll see what
Hmm.
happens, man. I got to work on him on several albums, man. Toxic Avenger, the Hellraiser album,
Hmm.
Chemical Spill, Last Temptation, Intoxication. Gosh, I don't know. Ultimate Price, Uranium, Isham even borrowed a track that I gave Mastamind before. I think that was on
Yeah,
DMT
let me bring that
sessions.
up really quick. Let me
Yeah.
bring that up real quick because I feel like that's a kind of a forgotten track. That was on Chemical Spill, right?
Yes, originally, yeah.
Do you remember the name of it?
On Chemical Spill,
Hmm.
let me think here.
Let me see if I got it on the playlist here.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even tell you what track Isham put it on because he named all those tracks something fucked up on
Yeah.
DMT sessions.
So on DMT sessions, that was the only track with a somewhat normal name. It was Screwberry Kush. Um,
Oh, okay.
I can't remember what it was on the Chemical Spill. The lyrics come to mind, but I can't remember the name of the track.
That's all
Yeah,
right.
let me see if I can find. Well, I don't got my phone hooked up quite like that.
That's all right. I think I have it. We ain't live, so we're all right.
Cool.
What did I call that playlist? Sometimes the playlist just names itself after the song. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, because I remember they weren't getting along the best back then. They were off and on quite a bit. Um, and I think when Esham came out with that on DMT sessions, Mastermind made a comment about the track,
That's right.
and
He didn't really like that, did he?
no, and I feel like he might have used the album title as kind of like a play on words to be like, oh, but damn, I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Chemical Spill. Um, that's the one.
Unexplainable.
Unexplainable. There you go.
That
Yeah,
one.
there you go.
And on DMT sessions, what was that called? Hmm.
Pretty
What,
sure
what,
it's Screwberry Kush.
Screwberry Kush?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a trip, man. When I hear it, because I've heard the Isham one more than I've heard that one.
Hmm.
But listening to that one, I was like, man, this is crazy hearing it. Like, I think it's longer. Mastermind's version is longer, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he's got 3 verses on it. So yeah, it'd be longer.
So there's pieces that I don't think I heard on the Isham one that I can hear, like beat wise,
Oh, yeah.
on the Mastermind one, um, barely, or it's kind of subtle. It's like, but if you've heard the Isham one, in your head, it's embedded in your head, and then you
Yeah.
hear this one, it's like, whoa, this is like new to me
You can
again,
tell that something's off, yeah, or not the same,
Yeah,
yeah. And it's probably just like the transition from like the verse to the hook or something simple like that, or a beat drop.
yeah. I was
Probably
like,
nothing
it would be
major.
cool to if you could stitch them together and be like, boom.
Oh, I could
It's like,
totally
why don't
do
you do
that.
that?
Yeah.
That'd be badass, man. Stitch them
Um,
together,
that would be
be
fun
like
to
a
do.
bonus. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of funny, man. And when I heard that, I was like, I forgot that Isham ganked that, you know,
Hmm.
and he got it off a chemical spill. And
Yeah,
I
so I
remember,
think
yeah,
originally that beat was included on a CD that I gave to Mastamind for Toxic Avenger. So that was one of the leftovers from Toxic Avenger that ended up getting used later. So,
oh,
yeah, man, the thing about music and
that's how
production,
Isham
like,
took it.
yeah,
He
it
was like, let me
probably
go do
got
this track for
mastered.
you, and then like stole it.
Well, I bet Toxic Avenger got mastered in, at Esham's place and whatnot. So he
Yeah,
probably has the CD if I had to guess. But yeah, man, the thing about music that's interesting, like from my point of view, like, oh yeah, I gave him that music a long time ago, and then, you know, it I meant for it to be on this project, but it comes out like two projects later. Um, so that's like a trippy part as a producer, that like the fans or the listeners may not know, like from a producer's point of view, how that all works out. But
yeah,
uh, sometimes you'll hear something new and it'll sound new, but it's like, oh yeah, I said that to him like a long time ago. But yeah, he got that off a CD that I gave him for Toxic Avenger, and some of those beats ended up getting used on Chemical Spill. And I think some of the fans might have caught on to that because I remember some people saying it sounded like a part two to uh, Toxic Avenger or a B-sides or leftover tracks and whatnot. So yeah, man, pretty crazy.
yeah. And all the CDs that he has like in on Spotify, and I can't even tell you from what year to what year, but there are like several there, and it's like a blur. It's like, wow, like you could make just one big fat playlist with all this stuff. It's crazy. Um, I feel like they're all fighting for like the number 4 spot or something out of Mastermind's discography. Maybe that's not fair though, because there's so much that I haven't listened to it and really like gave it a shot to sink in or anything,
Yeah.
The last CD that he came out with, The Ultimate Warrior, that was a
Hmm.
double disc. That was long, man.
It was
And I
long.
remember he had heavy duty intensity on there. Like he was killing it track after
Hmm.
track. And I was just like, how does Mastermind keep doing this, man? Like, how
Yeah.
does he just sound better than ever?
He
Still.
keeps improving. Keeps improving, man. That's
Hmm.
one of the awesome things about him is that he's always working on the craft and he's always trying to outdo himself. He doesn't he doesn't get lazy on the track. He's always
Uh-uh.
trying to do better than the last.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, when you sit and you like, when you're listening to his music as like you want to critique it or something, you start like listening to his lyrics and stuff. It's like, it's pretty good, man. This guy obviously knows what he's doing as a writer,
Hmm.
now. And you could just see the progression from the early days, which is like kids. He was a kid
Right.
to like now. It's like, damn, you know, it's pretty badass. I
Yeah.
don't think that he kind of gets the credit for that. Like everybody always hollers that Mastermind needs more credit. And like, well, what are you gonna do? Um, you know, we've bought his
Yeah.
CDs.
Yeah. I mean,
We've done our
the real
part.
ones, yeah, the real ones will know, but
Mhm.
usually the headliner gets all the credit, it's kind of like the QB. The QB gets all the credit. Um, but it's a team effort, but yeah, man, huge contributor, man. He's always pushing, and I feel like
Mhm.
Isham and Mastamind, when they work together, they push each
Oh,
other, you know.
they come up with some of the dopest music
Yeah.
ever, man.
I
I
mean,
mean,
even on
well,
the
fuck everybody
podcast that
was
they would
mostly them.
drop.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. Even the podcast stuff that we would get once in a while, I'd be like, holy crap. They would come
yeah.
out with just some brand new track that wouldn't even make an album, but I was like, damn, that belongs on an album.
Hmm. It's almost impossible to collect everything and have it at your fingertips,
Yeah,
like
it
on your
really
phone or
is.
something. It's too much. But that's crazy. That's cool. It keeps you looking. Um, I think that when Mastermind and Isham do get together and work, it's I think there's something to it that brings like some it's like vintage, both of them. And it
Hmm.
kind of takes you back. It's like, oh, vintage Mastermind. When they get together and like they have like a duo track, it leaves you like, for me, I'm like, oh man, I wish TNT was around. I'm always
Yeah.
like, I'd love that.
Well, there's like a special, there's like a special formula there too, And so like when those two ingredients get together, the chemistry is just even bigger. Like they're
Yeah.
great on their own, but like together, it's just, I don't know how to explain it, but they just boss up and just become bigger, stronger, and better at their craft.
And I think that the ingredient there is that they actually have known each other for decades, in person.
Hmm.
Like they spent hours together growing up,
Oh yeah.
like that bond. You can't buy that bond. You can't just find somebody on Facebook to make you a beat or whatever and get
Nope. Doesn't get
that
made
bond.
overnight. So it's
Nah.
almost like, like back in the day, the way you would create a group album is all of you go to the studio at the same time. You know,
Hmm.
Nowadays you just email it to somebody and, you don't really see each other very much. So to your point, that chemistry is probably still there from being there in person. And, it just shows every time they get together.
Yeah. Um, Mastermind is definitely on the Mount Rushmore of Detroit hip hop. I don't think there's any denying that. I'll fight over that, anybody. But I think you put him on there,
Yeah.
Esau Mastermind, yeah, Natas hogs half of it up.
Right.
I'll let you guys fight for the rest. But those two dudes right there, man, I think helped, they kind of put Detroit on their shoulders and brought it into a respectable hip hop or gangsta rap, reputation. And it's not like they were doing anything crazy, but just telling their stories from Detroit, how shit was there. Oh, but they did have the extra hot sauce, I like to call it, of the religious, anti-religious themes, that shit
Sure.
that made you
The
raise your eyebrows like, damn.
Yeah, the shock value. I mean, that was
Hmm.
part of the allure to them. That's kind of what like brought you in. You're like, shit, man, like this is
Yeah.
evil shit, or I don't even know if I should be listening to it, but I'm going to.
Yeah, it always kind of gave you the weird little EBGBs at first, When we're like
Yeah.
kids, we're like, I don't know, man, I'm gonna go to hell. I'm listening to this, but it's
Yeah, and
dope.
and I think that that's something that like people just getting into them, or maybe they got into them later. Um, they're just not going to have that feeling. And that was really unique about them because no other rap group gave me that. No other artist could do that.
We'll wrap it up here, man. I could talk for hours about this, man, about Mastermind. We could just
Oh
chop it up
yeah.
here forever. It's crazy, man. But I think, like, over the years, like I said, dude's on the Mount Rushmore, Detroit hip hop for
Hmm.
sure. Like I said, he gets better, and that last album that he put out, just crazy energy and still brilliant writing, and he's getting better
Yeah.
at it. Even like a couple decades later, believe it or not. It's crazy to say
Hmm.
that, but damn. And then you could like, if you just look his name up on Spotify, you find all these random tracks that you didn't even know existed, with all
Yeah, he
these
does.
people and stuff. It's
Yep.
cool.
Features with a lot of, I mean, unknown people to us.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, he is featured on so many different things on Spotify. You can even find him
Yeah.
on YouTube too if you look him up.
Dude's staying busy.
Yeah. Man of the
So
people, man. Always down to work with whoever wants to do some work, man.
I wonder what the future holds for Mastamind, though. Is he done, or is he going to come out with another record? You think?
When I talked to him earlier in the year, I know he was working on something and he was hoping for like a later in the year type of release. And then we've always gone back and forth on wanting to do another project. I want to do one more project with him for sure. But I don't think he has any intentions of stopping. As far as I know, I think he's going to keep on going, man. Music is timeless, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Uh, there's not really an age limit on rap. I mean, there used to be that thought of, oh, they're too old to rap or whatever, but all this new rap is garbage. So it's
Yeah,
like,
dude, there's a lane for I don't know, can I call it real rap?
mhm,
Whatever, OG rap.
right,
Like, there's a lane for gangsta rap, like just the good old fashioned way.
exactly.
That's why
You
people
know,
keep listening to the '90s.
Yeah, man. And that's why Ice Cube is still relevant. That's why, Dog Pound, Snoop Dogg. I mean, these guys are still doing it
Yeah.
the right way, or at least the right way and for our era. But
Well, tell Mastermind to get on it, bro. Like, I did the graphics for a couple of his records, but that Last Temptation of Christ one, that
yeah.
was so badass because I got to do like the back, the CD, the insert.
Yeah, man. I
And
remember
I
that.
remember just taking my time on that. And I was like, this is a masterpiece.
Dude, yeah, the
That was fun.
first release or the first press of those CDs where it had the black CD with the red upside down
Hmm.
cross. Woo,
Yep.
that was
That was
nice.
hot.
So, I mean, I don't know who's all listening, but you got one of those. That's like only first time press available. So
Damn.
that's a collector's item right there. Um, but yeah, man, I would love to do some more work with Mastermind. I'm the one stopping it. I'm the one that's got to get back in the lab. He's staying busy. He's ready to do work whenever I am. So just a matter of putting the time in and getting it done.
For sure, man. The people want it. Be good
I
to hear
want it
some
too,
Dre
man.
40-ounce music with some
Yeah.
Mastermind again.
Yeah,
That's
man.
vintage now.
We got a cool concept that, I'll talk to you about it when the pod is over, but yeah, man, I think if the idea that we talked about takes off, it should be a fun project, man.
Dope. Hey, thanks for taking time of your day to do this. It's a lot of
Let's
fun here, man.
show.
This is
Yeah,
the
man.
second one we got down of our Legends episode. The Mighty Mighty Mastermind, man. Legendary for shizzle.
Oh yeah,
And
Hellraiser.
the Hellraiser, he's got a big discography out there to check out. You could stream it, buy it, whatever, man. But
Hmm.
check you out some Mastermind. Don't miss out. That's real Detroit right there, in my opinion. So
One of the true
that's gonna be
legends,
it,
man.
bro. For sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
another thing I wanted to add too is like when you talk about like lyricists, mainstream, underground, whatever, I think he ranks up there too with like the top. So
Mm-hmm.
I put his lyrics up against anybody.
No doubt, man. Dude is a madman.
Oh yeah.
All right, that'll wrap up the show. Thanks for checking us out.
All
Peace
right,
out,
man.
bro.
Peace.